Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Dungeons and Dopamine. Ta-da!
Hi, welcome to Dungeons and Dopamine. I'm Bre.
I'm Jess.
And this is episode 74.
You did it.
I did it. I know numbers.
You do.
Sometimes.
So, topic opener. It's time for topic opener.
We have those.
Almost going to Disney World.
10 days.
10 days. Do you know that going to Disney World is no longer a vacation?
Is there a new word for it?
No, it's just a project now.
Oh.
When I think vacation, I do think like sunny beaches, blah, 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 oceans, or like New York City, so cool. But Disney, while it used to be, like, you never actually felt rested after Disney, you could just go to Disney and do Disney.
Right. Not anymore.
Not anymore. It is insane what you have to do now. Like, not that we had to do this, but Ryan and I have started following the Disney food blog. Mm-hmm. And we watch their videos all the time. And we, like, have purchased, not merch from them, but, like, their booklet guide things. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many options. There's so many restaurants. You have to make your reservations like 60 days in advance, or there's a good chance you're not going to get them, especially for like the castle and stuff.
And even that can be iffy.
Yes. Yes. So
I hope you're going to have to take very good notes.
Right.
When you're done with Disney.
I will.
Because you're doing this version of Disney.
Yes.
And I am heavily leaning towards the unplanned Disney trip, which I know I can't do completely.
Right, of course.
But since we're not staying on property, so the resort we're staying in is the Veterans Resort, and it's not technically Disney property, but we still get deluxe resort perks.
Okay.
So we'll still get some of the like early check-in stuff and being able to make the reservations.
Sure.
But the kids we have are very different than the kids
you
absolutely
have. Yes.
So I don't think like the sit-down dinners and that type of thing is going to be up our alley necessarily.
Sure. They're not even going to care about meeting characters, really, are they?
No.
Maybe Star Wars characters?
Right.
And those are I don't think they have a lot of meet and greets
it's
for
more
the characters.
Like
it's
they
more like
wander
freely
around.
Wandering. Yeah, because I have a girl, and
Mm-hmm.
she's 8, and she's princesses and Stitch, mostly Stitch. She's just Stitch. And she's, eat in the castle. We're going to eat in the castle. We're going to meet Stitch at a character breakfast. She wants to meet Mickey. She wants to meet Pooh Bear. There's a dance party at the Halloween party that we're going to, and she's just so excited to go to the dance party. And she kind of thrives on the planning. And it also has helped us to get her excited about it, which has been really nice. Because when we first started planning, she was like, yay, we're going to Disney. Okay, anyway.
That's all I know about it, thanks.
Exactly. Whereas I feel like the boys are more like adventure and let's
rides.
Just run until we're exhausted and then collapse.
Yeah, rides. And like there's going to be days, well, we'll be there early in the year, so it'll probably be a little bit chillier, but I have a fear that I'm going to have to fight with Connor about how he can't just swim in the pool all day. He has to go to Disney World.
We paid for Disney World. We're going to Disney
We're
World.
not staying in this pool all day. It's 65 degrees. It's too cold for Mom to swim.
Exactly.
I'm sure it's going to be fine for him, but we're going to the park.
You guys can't do the dining plan either, can you? Mm-mm. So your whole, whereas we are going and we have credits, and of course we always have backup money and stuff too, but we can spend really whatever we want on any meal we want because...
And we have to budget and bring
and
money
plan
to...
for that or,
And then the resort, again, that we're staying at has different food options, which will likely be a lot cheaper than
for sure.
the Disney options. So we'll probably do sit-down dinners back at the resort.
And you can, if they have prepackaged food, you can pop it in your bags and bring it with you and eat it in lines and stuff like that.
And it's like I said, it's a veterans resort. So it's they have like the duty-free shop. So everything's tax-free.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I guess they have like Disney souvenirs in their shirts and stuff. They've got a whole bunch of different food and like bottled water and all of that. So it's going to be a very different Disney experience. Yes. And I look forward to like comparing, contrasting with you.
How many days are you guys there?
We're going to do 4 park days. Okay. So we get there, I think, on a Sunday, and then we'll do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the parks, and we'll fly out Friday.
Okay. All right. So we're doing just slightly different, where we're flying in on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday park, rest day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday parks, and then we fly out on Saturday. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see the differences, or if a restaurant pops up that, you know, the kids hear about, or that you guys hear about, that you're like, I want to eat there. There's a Star Wars bar. Mm-hmm. You have to have a reservation, and they don't really have food. So I've been hesitant to bother with it, but I am dying to go there.
That'll definitely be what.
So it's really, I know it's going to be a blast. I know it's going to be a blast for both of us, even with us doing it totally different ways. But it's kind of funny that yours is just slow and steady, and whatever we're going to do, we're going to do. And ours is like, no, we've got this planned. We've got this scheduled. If you want to build a droid or a lightsaber, you do have to schedule and pay for that. Would you ever work at Disney World?
No.
Do you even would you even want to like be a character or anything?
No.
You're probably the exact height for Mickey. Not saying anything, but
I know a couple people that have worked at Disney, and they still love it. They still are Disney people. Yep. I've heard incredible things. I have met cool people that have done it. It's just not my jam.
Sure.
I think it would ruin the magic for me.
Oh, for sure. I could absolutely get that. I could see myself back when I was young enough to play a princess, wanting to play a princess. Yeah. I absolutely could have been there. I would have liked to have sang or performed, or just done face characters where you get to meet the little kids and stuff like that. But
meanwhile, I would have been like Stitch.
Right, Mickey. I have heard that most of the time Mickey is a woman. Mm-hmm. But speaking of working at places, so that was my entire transition.
Good job.
Workplaces. Did you know? And I've this is secondhand information, so I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. I usually don't think I am. Did you know that Australia recently passed a law that you cannot fire someone for not getting back to you while they were not working, off their work hours?
That's amazing.
One of those buddies from Shark Tank said, "Oh, that's absolutely ridiculous." And I'm like, "You're the reason they did that. You piece of turd."
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm choked up about this.
I think it's completely unreasonable for people to expect you to be available when you're off work.
I think cell phones have ruined society.
And working from home.
For that reason.
Yeah.
Because it used to be, even in real estate, it used to be you left after office hours and nobody had a way to get a hold of you.
Right.
And now, the demands people have on my time is insane. They get personally offended if I'm not responding to them at 9:30 at night.
Yep.
And it's and it works that way for my employees too. At the township job, I do sometimes have to send them a message or call them on their day off, but it would only be if they were on vacation and I needed a form that only they have access to, or I need
password to
their
timesheet,
or if I need information that only they have access to. And I try my very best not to do that in general.
Right.
But they don't seem to have any qualms about messaging me on my day off at 7:30 in the morning or 6:30 at night. So,
yeah, I think I'm really, really grateful for my job. I want to say that my current job right now, no one has the expectation. I've even been told, don't reply to this email because it's after hours. I do not expect to hear from you right now. And I really appreciate that. I think I talked last time we recorded. I think I was talking about how I turned off work emails from my phone completely.
Yes.
I don't know if it got recorded or if I was just telling you this. But because I was fretting and concerned, and if something popped up on Friday and there was like an issue on an event or something, I would spend my weekend like trying to fix it or checking things to make sure it wasn't something I had done.
Or just worrying about it.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to have to take care of this when I get on Monday.
And I have shut that off completely. I still get my personal emails to my phone and like the podcast emails and stuff, but that's not work.
Right.
And I feel really good that I did that. It feels really freeing, and I don't even think about work once I'm off for the day and for the weekend. I almost kept it on for weeknights. I'm like, no.
There's no reason.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a surgeon. I'm not even a nurse. I'm not saving anyone's life.
Right.
They can wait.
And would you get paid if you...
I could if I put in the time, but usually I would just do it. Like, I would just answer an email or whatever.
And you're, only 1 minute. I'm not going to add that to my timesheet.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that every night, multiple times a night, 6 minutes a night, 5 days a week is still 30 minutes a week.
Exactly. And that's your personal time, and that's not you don't get enough of that as
right.
Is. But I give my company props. They're very respectful of time. They're very respectful of family. I have very rarely been contacted. Usually it's been an emergency situation of someone can't do something, are you able to fill in? Or I do social media, so there's been something tragic happening. We can't have that funny post go out tonight.
Right.
And that's completely understandable, and I do expect that as part of my job.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not like the expectation of... I watched a TikTok the other day of a woman who worked in, like, it sounded like car insurance type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the man on the phone with her, I think it was a man, maybe I'm wrong, but the man on the phone with her was berating her because even though he had talked to their 24-hour service people and they had set him up with his car, getting into a shop and blah, blah, blah. It's a holiday weekend. Nobody was at the shop to look at the car or anything. He called and emailed this woman 10 times because she wasn't getting back to him. And she was explaining, well, sir, I don't really see where the problem is because you were able to contact our 24-hour service. They were able to get you set up. I
can't go to the shop and fix this for you.
I have been in the office for 1 hour. It's after a holiday weekend. The shop hasn't even had a chance. I haven't even had agents in to look at your claim yet. The shop isn't even open yet.
Like, workers
what
aren't
do you
even here
expect
yet.
from me? And just from her end of the conversation, and don't get me wrong, this could have been completely fake, but being in customer service, I believe it.
Right.
And he just kept berating her and telling her, well, don't you work from home? She's like, sir, you're not eligible for my time. From 8:30 to 5:30 I work. After that and before that, I am not here for you. And it's totally ridiculous.
I can't imagine having to explain that to someone.
I can't, not at all. But it's that thing that I expect you to be available all the time now. Have you ever had a job besides the real estate? Not that that's acceptable.
Well, but my own...
It is a profession that has weird hours and stuff like that. So, have you ever had any of your other jobs, your 9 to 5s or anything where they expected you to be available?
Mortgages.
Yeah.
Mortgages was bad. It's part of why I left that job. And that it was the same thing. People don't look at houses during normal business hours, and they want to be pre-approved after hours all the time. That was just more the fact that I wasn't making loan officer money.
Sure.
So being forced to do loan officer jobs after hours when I was supposed to be with my family was too much for me.
Yes.
And it's part of what propelled me into real estate, because if I'm going to be used to those hours already, I might as well be making the money that these people are making.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I don't...
Otherwise... Yeah, I mean, even when I was teaching, so when I was an instructor at Ross, I had, it was a for-profit school, so we were expected to help the students pass no matter what. So if they were texting me or emailing me late at night because they needed help on something, I was expected to respond. I've had a lot of jobs
that
like
they expect that for you. I've never had any job say that they expected that. I mean, I worked in retail, that obviously once it's closed for the day. But I've had one job where it wasn't stated we expect you to be available whenever we want, but it was sort of expected. Mm-hmm. It was a horrible job. Like, from A to Z, it was a terrible job to be at. But have you ever had any job that had expectations other than that were kind of unreasonable?
My favorite line in any job description in the National Kidney Foundation or any nonprofit job, they always end the job description with, and other duties as assigned.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Because you are always understaffed. You are always underpaid because you're doing the work because you love it. And so there is always something else you have to do. The office I worked at was small. There was like 5 of us. We ran a big event for West Michigan. It was $1 million event. We made a ton of money. Well, we put a ton of money into it, and it was a big dollar event. And there's only 5 of us in the office. So I might have been there for program coordinator, but I was also event planner during Mardi Gras season.
I had a job where I found out my grandpa had died in the morning. When I called off work, I said, I'm not going to be in today. And the person who had answered said, you need the whole day.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought that was completely unreasonable. It is still one of the most, I don't know how I just stayed chill for that.
Without punching them in the face?
Yes, exactly. And it is still in my brain, and I have no respect for that any longer. And that was completely unacceptable. I just can't imagine saying that to someone. I can't imagine saying that to someone who's like, cat died.
Right?
Their grandfather.
Right?
So I thought that was pretty sick. I've never had any job descriptions where it was like unreasonable question. Like, a lot of the companies I've worked for have been pretty small. Mm-hmm. So I have been expected to like take up duties that maybe no one was hired specifically for. Got
to be cross-trained on this just in case that coworker's not there.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't bother me so much. What are some, if you were looking for a job, which I know you are not.
I'm always looking for jobs.
And I am not, just to clarify.
Just in case your coworkers are listening.
Exactly. What are buzzwords in a job description that you avoid like the plague?
Ooh, this is new for me. Flexible, because that's going to go back to the other duties as assigned.
Or hours of, like, but we need someone flexible so you can work every weekend and every single night and every holiday.
It's someone who's adaptable. That's going to be the same thing.
Wears many hats. Mine, my biggest one, is family.
Oh.
We're a family. Not like this is a family-run business since blah, blah, blah. That's fine. I might be a little wary at that point, but we're a family.
We're a family here.
That, to me, signifies that you either, one, expect me to overlook things that I would not normally have overlooked, or legal things that I am supposed to now overlook, or that you have a lot of family members working there and it's very nepotism. I am, one, not ever going to be able to move up because you just keep putting family members there, and two, going to be expected to just put up with everything.
Right, because this is a family, you will give everything for your family. Why do you need to go home? This is your family.
Exactly. You don't need to, no, bring them in. Just keep working, but bring them here. So that's one of my big red flags. On call as needed.
Oh, yeah. That's always a good one.
Overtime as needed. Especially if it's a salaried position. That's a huge red flag.
Yep.
Because now we expect you to work
all the hours.
Like 70 hours a week, but we're going to pay you for the 40 we've already talked about. Fast-paced or dynamic atmosphere, someone said.
That's a bad one. Oh, goodness. Sorry.
Oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Yes, fast-paced environment.
Learn on the fly, or what is it, like tossed into the fire to learn or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I went to a job interview many years ago. This was many years ago.
Apparently we're turning into Minnesotans.
Friendly ones from Canada that moved to Minnesota. To make Bobby's World references. Many years ago, I went to this, it was super weird. I was applying for like an admin position, like administrative assistant, and I was going to be running the front desk. And when I came in and introduced myself, the atmosphere was a little bit gloomy and kind of slow, and I don't know, even the whole office just seemed like almost like dim, like they didn't have enough light bulbs in it. But I don't know if that's just my memory, or if maybe they just didn't have a lot of people working that day or something. And the girl who was like walking me around and introducing me to people was the one who was in the position currently. She kept making weird, I don't know how to explain it. She kept making weird things like, well, when I was doing it, I always made sure I, typed 120 words a minute and stapled all of my stuff before I blah, blah, blah. I don't have very good examples. It was a very long time ago. But basically, she was almost like it was a competition with what she had accomplished for me to accomplish.
She was like, well, you can try, but you're never going to be as good as I am.
Exactly. And then she brought me to introduce me to other people. And there was a very weird dynamic between her and the other people. It was almost like maybe I had this all wrong, but it was almost like the people that were in the office now were there because they had scared or pushed everyone they didn't want there out. And I thought, this feels bad. I don't like this. The atmosphere, the way you guys are talking, and like they were making little like personal jokes with each other that it was almost like they were elbowing each other and being like, ha ha,
Right.
And it just all struck me as cliquey and awkward.
You were like, I don't want to join your cult.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. Are you guys going to try and make me sleepy? And
do you need a kidney?
Charlie, Charlie. So that was super weird. Have you ever had any strange like interviews or anything like that?
I'm trying to remember now.
Oh, young and energetic team, as someone's saying, is like that.
Well, that's illegal, number one.
Yes, and it also feels like young and energetic team means we've gotten rid of all of the people who knew what they were doing. Like, don't get me wrong, I do understand that young people, we do know what we're doing. I'm gonna call myself as a young person. But there is also something to say about the people who are experienced and have been in the trade or whatever for years.
Well, and you want, I'm not gonna trying to think of who listens to this. No, it doesn't matter. A previous job I worked at, the young energetic team was because the old seasoned employees were all leaving because it was awful.
Yes, a lot of that where the ones that were experienced and whatever were being chased out.
Or they were young and energetic because the company was going for like a look and an aesthetic.
Yeah.
That seemed to be way more important than the actual duties of the job. Like, I left that job where I was actually well liked, and unfortunately somebody didn't know that, because the comment that was made after I left was, oh, that's okay, she wasn't really one of us. She didn't really fit with us. And I laughed my head off because I fit better with some of the people that are still there than she did. But it was definitely a feeling of fake. Like, we can make cool Instagram videos and we can look nice on social media, but it's all fake.
Yeah, I hate that. I did work. So I worked at Hallmark, and I worked there for 7 years. And it was actually still to this day one of my favorite jobs. But I have to say that it was very, very cliquey.
Oh, for sure.
Because it was typically women, either very young or, I won't say very old, but there was a big range of ages. And you would find like a whole lot of that gossip and, oh, did you hear what so-and-so did? And it was a very toxic atmosphere at times. And in fact, my favorite point of being there was when I was really good friends with my manager. What a coincidence.
Weird. Being in the in crowd.
Yeah. And she and I got along really well. So I got scheduled with her, and she had the really good hours because she was the manager. So I was even a part of the problem there. But it went on and off where, like, people just sucked.
Well, and you were so young there.
I was very young there, yes.
And it was that was your first job, right? No, well, I mean, the ice cream store.
I worked at the ice cream store, and then I, for like 14 seconds, worked at a restaurant.
goodness, I forgot about that.
I worked there for a shift.
I was gonna say it wasn't long.
I wrapped silverware, and then they had scheduled me for something for like a vacation that I was taking, and I told them I can't be scheduled for this when I got hired. And they were like, "Oh, well, you'll have to call to see if someone can cover it." And the first person I called was like, "I haven't worked there in 5 years."
And you were like, I don't work here anymore either.
Yep. I went to an interview with Hallmark, actually, and walked out with a job offer and never looked back. I don't even think I quit that place.
I was going to say, did you even go back and quit?
No, I don't think so. I think it just stopped showing up, which none of them would have been surprised about.
Right.
I do remember the boss at my job asking, "Is that really the kind of place you want to work?" when I got the job at Hallmark.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, yes. That is the kind of place I want to work. I will say, like, it was a fun job. The work itself, like, putting things on display and even cleaning and stuff was fun.
It was kind of perfect for you.
It really was. And we got to build displays, and the manager I was really good friends with, she and I were very creative people, so we would do stuff like hanging giant snakes from the ceiling to show that we had giant snakes and stuff in. And the customers were cool because it's so far been the only job where I'm working with people who just show up there because they want to show up there.
Right.
It's not like groceries that you have to get. It's not like flooring that sometimes you have to get.
And nobody's going into Hallmark when they're cranky.
Exactly. The worst was people who thought things were on sale and they weren't, or
like holiday seasons when it was a little stressful.
Yeah. And you had your fair I could write a book still on all the weird and bad customer service experiences that I've had. But truly, it was a very nice place to work.
I still go, and that's still my favorite Hallmark, by the way. Sure. It's still the one I go to. I'm pretty sure one of the ladies that works there has worked there since you did.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 100%. I know exactly who you're talking about, in fact. She's fabulous.
I love her.
She's amazing. I also left there smelling amazing. Like, people would walk in when I worked there and I was really in the thick of it. People would walk in and be like, "Oh, it smells so good in here." It smelled like nothing to me. But now when I walk in, it smells so good. And I would leave there and I could go places and not smell weird.
Right. And you could be wearing clothes that you could go out in public with. You weren't wearing
casual kind of thing.
McDonald's uniform that was covered in McDonald's smell.
My brother worked at a chicken place, and my mom made him leave his shoes outside because they stank so badly from all the crud and grease and nastiness.
My first or second job was McDonald's.
Yes, I forgot.
Because I had a cousin that worked there. And I was still young enough, I was going to my dad's every other weekend. And I remember leaving, like coming home after a shift, changing out of my McDonald's clothes, leaving them in my bedroom, and going to my dad's for the weekend.
Yep.
And coming home on Sunday, my room smelled awful because those clothes sat in there all weekend.
Yep. Yeah.
Ugh.
Old oil is really nasty. The other thing that's awful is people who come from machine shops and stuff. And Ryan worked in a metal shop for a while, and I wouldn't wash his clothes, and I would not stick my hands in his pockets because I had spent too many times trying to pick metal slivers out from under my fingernails from reaching in to empty his pockets out.
Zach has to keep track of where he works throughout the day because, like, sometimes he ends up in a fiberglass plant or he ends up in, like, a foundry with really bad chemicals or like,
metal
ashes, shavings and
yeah.
things. And sometimes he gets home from work and he'll just get out of the van and be like, "Nope, don't touch me. I gotta get these clothes off first."
God, I never even thought about fiberglass. Fiberglass gives me
that was my worst job. Let's go back. Sure. So Herman Miller in general was a good job. It was a job I had right out of. It was when I quit college. So when I decided college wasn't my thing, I ended up at Herman Miller. It felt like a failure at the time because we were of the generation where you were supposed to go to college and you were supposed to do these things. You weren't supposed to end up in a manufacturing facility at 21 years old. It paid well. It had benefits. It was a really great job for a 21-year-old, except that I worked with fiberglass.
Yes.
And it was so itchy all the time, and there was nothing you could do to keep the fiberglass off your skin. And our bosses were basically like,
Sorry.
Good luck.
Yeah,
sorry.
for sure, yeah.
Like, they'd try to research we had like Tyvek suits we would try to wear, but the fiberglass would just go through those. They gave us all lotion, and so you'd get to work and you'd put lotion on really thick on your arms, hoping that it would like create a barrier so that the fiberglass couldn't work its way through.
Wow.
It was crazy.
And fiberglass, like, I can't imagine going in on a day where it's already hard to be at work, because everybody has those days, whether they love their job or not. And maybe you already don't feel well, or you're emotionally charged.
80 degrees out, and you're already sweaty.
And then you get that stabby, itchy, burny fiberglass feel all over you.
The minute you walk in until the minute you... talking about, like, not being able to go anywhere after work. We would all have to, like, go home and change and shower before we could go anywhere.
And being careful where you shake out your clothes and stuff like that, because those little slivers can get everywhere.
And what you wear to work, like what shoes you wear to work, what coat you wear to work, because your coat might go in your locker, which isn't by the fiberglass, but you're going to put your coat on over your fiberglass shirt at the end of the day. Oh. And there goes my new winter coat. Now it's a fiberglass coat.
It's a work coat. Wow, I never thought of that. When we were doing construction in the early phases, somehow we ended up with fiberglass on the floor. And I don't remember what we were doing, but I was crawling on the floor to do something. And by the time I got from the upstairs where we were working to downstairs, my legs, having rubbed through all that, were red and prickly and days. It took days for that to heal.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wash it enough to get it to feel right. And, oh, it was awful. So I found a few more things that people say are just big red flags. This person says, in my experience, competitive pay equals bad pay. Some weekends equals most weekends. Flexible work equals completely inflexible. And no pay in the advert means minimum wage. They also say we're family. And also team spirit.
Oh, yes.
Which I didn't even think about. I have had jobs where it says full-time in the ad, and then once you apply and or interview, they change it to being part-time, which I think is really gross and should be a big red flag for you if you're walking in and they're going to do that to you, because they're already starting off lying to you.
Right.
Unless they explain maybe like, we're so sorry, it was listed as a mistake, or it was listed something, and then we had somebody come back in and we were going to give them more hours, so you're going to have to split. But I still think it's kind of dirty. Someone said entrepreneurial spirit. Boy, that was hard to get out.
It's because they want to pay you like garbage and have you work all the hours.
And answer your phone when you're not supposed to be at work. Self-starter usually means we're not going to train you well.
We don't know what we're doing either.
Have you ever had poor training in a position, or have they always had pretty solid training programs?
Well, yeah. Both. I mean, I've had a lot of jobs.
Fair, yeah. This is actually the perfect topic for you.
Right?
I didn't give you any...
There have been 16 of them. I would say probably half and half, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, again, Herman Miller was probably one of the best trainings I've ever had. They were great. They follow a lot of, like, the continuous improvement and Kanban and Toyota production service. Anyway. They brainwashed me all the way back in 2008. It worked very well, obviously. They were great. You know, you should be able to walk up to any job in Herman Miller, and there should be standard operating procedures right there. You can just pick it up and do the job.
That's so rare in my experience.
Absolutely. And it actually is something that I took from there and I bring to every job that I go to. Like, before I left the mortgage company, I had set up checklists for them. So when the next person came in for my job, it was like, here's what you do when you get here in the morning. Nice. Here's how you process a file. Here's how you do this. I did it for the elections. When I got to the township job, my elections became just checklists. Each position has a checklist. There was a family doctor I worked for. The training was awful, or there was none, or it was like, hey, the person that you're replacing is already gone, so you have to learn from this person next to you, but you guys have to work while you're doing it, so good luck.
Right, and that person has a ton to keep up with because they're trying to cover two jobs right now.
Yeah.
I've had it, like, Hallmark and Home Depot. Home Depot was like, you went to
I forgot about Home Depot.
I did work
too.
at Home Depot. 6 months, I think, is how long I made it.
And then
for.
you went back to Hallmark, right?
I did, because they were able to give me a pay raise and more hours. So at Hallmark, you really just experienced, but it wasn't like run a register, bye,
right?
Because it was a very small store, and everybody wanted you to succeed because they didn't want to take up any extra hours or weekends. And so my experience there was really good. My experience at Home Depot was my training experience with Home Depot was really good, but I don't think I've ever had anything really bad. A few that were kind of difficult, a few that I was like, I would adjust that to make it easier.
Don't you think you should do it this way?
And then I had one job that was an absolute crap show because the person leaving left a bunch of stuff undone. And then when I called them out on it, they got really mad.
But they deserved it.
They did. A lot of what I'm seeing in here is a rock star. That's a big red flag for people.
You don't ever want to be someone's rock star.
No. And it's...
The hours are awful. The expectations are awful.
Yep.
You're always expected to be winning, even if you have no support or help or ways to keep winning.
You're supposed to be positive and uplift everyone, not just yourself.
Just keep killing it. Just keep killing it.
I'm seeing a ton of family atmosphere. This person said, family atmosphere means we have no boundaries and will abuse you. Also, we have no work-life balance.
Well, and again, not to throw a previous company under the bus, but there was a lot of the team building. We had to do a lot of team building. And that just always translated to, we know your work life sucks, so here's some free drinks and a fun activity to spend time with people that you already have to spend 40 hours a week with when you're already missing your family.
Yeah.
And you probably had to get babysitting arranged and you had to plan for this, and now you have more time away from your family and you have to spend more time with these people you work with. And
I did know someone who worked in a business that it was kind of cliquey, and a lot of times after work these people would go out for drinks. But this person was married with children and didn't drink at all. Like, just literally didn't drink.
Right.
So going out for drinks with people that they had spent all day with, not being able to go home to their family, who they loved. It wasn't like a bad family atmosphere.
Right.
And then would get ostracized the next day because they didn't
go
and participated, and I hate that crap.
Or if you're going to do that type of like team building or those types of activities, do it during work time.
Yes.
Don't require me to take more time away from my family or arrange my life to, like, I already have to put my kid in daycare. Don't make me get a babysitter too.
Exactly. But I chose my family because I love them and I would rather spend time with them.
The one cool thing, okay, and I guess this could be a whole topic, work gifts. So I used to get very frustrated when I worked for the big hospital system because they provided gifts to employees every year, but it was always something like a pen that had a stylus, or like one time they did like boxes of meat, or some places they'll do turkeys or whatever.
Sure.
And it was so frustrating because all I wanted was a raise that was more than 3 cents an hour.
Right.
And instead they were giving out countrywide boxes of meat.
Yeah.
You could have you could have added this onto my paycheck. Thanks.
Exactly. Yeah. My husband worked at a place that they had Christmas parties, and we are not Christmas party people. But we would go because it felt like you had to show your face to be a part of the group or to excel, because when you were there you were a team player.
Well, and then they used those Christmas parties, not anywhere I worked, but I know Jody's mentioned it too, especially shops like that. They use those Christmas parties to like give away prizes, and it's crazy stuff like iPads and huge gift cards, and so the people that win are like, oh, I got this cool iPad from my work party, and the people that don't win are like, I came here for 2 free drinks and a dinner. And again, why couldn't this just have been a raise on my paycheck?
Right.
I did have one employer that did, they wanted to give us more time, which again goes back to, it was really a poor work-life balance.
Right.
But they did try, and they gave us, you could choose either like a 1-year Shipped membership, or a 1-year Amazon Prime membership, or something along those lines, so you could do like grocery delivery, or I think you could have got like an Amazon Echo or something, something that could help you organize your life or give you more time.
I mean, that, as far as like corporate gifts go, that seems better to me. But yeah, it's really frustrating, the atmosphere like that, and don't expect me to. I don't want to go to your Christmas party. I'm a loner. I am a homebody.
I like my kid.
If I want to get a babysitter, I want to go see a movie with my husband or go to a really good restaurant that she hates.
Right.
I don't want to spend a babysitter night.
Get dressed up and spend time with people I don't know.
Yes. And I watched that company. I watched them reward people for things that I personally thought Ryan should have gotten rewarded for. Like, I watched it was a very, not technically nepotism, a little bit of nepotism, but nepotism not family wise. It was a school district thing.
Oh.
So they hired all their buddies, and those people got all the accolades and like the pats on the back and the extra money that came with that kind of stuff. And one year Ryan ran a machine, and he had the highest production that the machine had ever seen. This was before he was an engineer, and they never even said a word about it. They never gave anything to anyone that worked on the floor. It was all office or sit at the computer types.
Right, because they were the support staff, so they were the reason Ryan was able to make good numbers.
Exactly. Yeah. One other thing I wanted to point out, and I've never experienced this, but when you see unlimited PTO on something is apparently a huge red flag of you'll never get to take PTO.
It's double-sided. It's either unlimited PTO and then it's never available. Like, yeah, it's unlimited, but you can't take it because
it's like blackout
we need
dates.
you. Yeah. Or because it's unlimited, you never have that feeling of, oh, I have 40 hours left before the end of the year. I have to use them.
Yeah.
So the studies show that people actually use less PTO when they have unlimited PTO because they either feel guilty about using it, or they just don't have that like nagging in their brain that they have to use it.
I gotta use that up.
So it actually saves companies money.
Oh, that's skeevy. I don't like that.
So going back to the work-life balance, it's the same thing. And I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, or maybe you cut it, or maybe it was when we weren't recording.
Yeah.
But companies like Google that do all of the perks, like there's a gym on site, and there's nap pods, and there's, they provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day for free, and they have showers, and they have lockers, and they have all this stuff, and people are like, oh, that's so cool that they're providing all of that. But again, they're doing it because
it keeps you there.
Then you don't have to leave. If you're going to leave at 4:30, but dinner starts at 5, you might as well work until 5.
Or if breakfast ends at 7:30, and then your workday normally starts at 8, but I want to have breakfast. I'm going to get there at 7 and ends at 7:30. I might as well just start working early.
Exactly. And why leave for lunch? Lunch is right here. I can just work through my lunch. I don't even have to go home at night now. I can eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then I can go work out, and then I can go take my shower, and then I might as well just crash in the nap pod for 8 hours and be back here at 6:30 in the morning for breakfast, right?
Wow. Yeah.
It's the same way.
About it, but yeah.
So in the early, like the Industrial Revolution, in the early days, shops would do stuff like that, but it was again more of a, well, if you don't have to go home, you can stay here. And then it goes a step further. They would create stores that were located at the site, and they would make it so the paycheck that you received could only be spent in the store attached to the site. So again, why go home? I got my paycheck, I can go get all my groceries right here, and then I can sleep in this nap pod. And
I hate that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, I love my job now. I feel really excited and lucky to be where I'm at. And you finally get to get rid of one and do something you really enjoy.
I am officially, right now, for the first time in my whole life, the boss.
Woohoo!
I don't have any bosses right now. Even at the township, it's an equality thing. I'm technically a boss, but none of them oversee me. And it is the coolest feeling I've ever had. And soon I will only have to be one boss instead of all the bosses. and that's even better.
I love it. But I think it's a little shorter than usual, but that's okay.
That's all right.
I had to cut out entire first conversations in some of our recent stuff because our topics have gone so long.
So we can do a short one. And honestly, we are both coasting into different seasons of life right now.
Yes.
You are about to finish the construction and your vacation. I am, what did we say, 76 days out from only having one job and having a much calmer schedule. So, and we're going to take like the next 4 weeks off from recording.
It's going to be crazy.
So it's like we're going to come back to a whole new season.
It's amazing. Season 3.
Yes.
All right. You can start this time. I always start.
Sure I can. I sure can. This has been Dungeons and Dopamine Podcast.
You can listen to us anywhere you stream podcasts and on YouTube.
You can also support us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/dungeonsdopamine.
You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and on Reddit.
You can reach out to us on any of those social medias or at dungeonsdopamine@yahoo.com.
You Dungeons and
You Dungeons and Dopamine.
Just talking to us. Dungeons and Dopamine is edited and published by Argyle Pigeon Productions.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us while we talk about work.
Yeah. We love you.
We love you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.